in terms of what shot you get. I like initiating the action. Give me the ball side out, 12 seconds to go, and I can try to set up some action to create some communication issues for the Heat. Denver elected not to do it. They've got to live with that. I would have handled it differently, but I'm not questioning Mike Malone. The guy's coaching in the NBA Finals. I'm not.
All right, so you mentioned Gabe could have been there defensively on that play. I want to talk about his offense. He had 23. That actually led Miami in scoring. Duncan Robinson had all 10 of his points in the fourth quarter. What flipped with those guys?
Yeah, look, breakdowns defensively led to their ability to make some shots, but give them credit because they took advantage of it. And Duncan Robinson had been quiet to this point in the series, but when you look at what happened at the beginning of that fourth quarter, you're talking about basically an 8-point deficit that got flipped like this, and it got Miami into a position now they can hand it off to their closer. You see here down 8, ball gets swung. If you're Jamal Murray, you just can't bite to that extent on a head fake. Make a 27-footer with a hand up. Now you give him a wide open sidestep 3 going to his left. Here's some simple screening action. When the ball comes back to Duncan Robinson, he takes advantage of an upright closeout by Jamal Murray, and give Duncan Robinson credit. That's not really his wheelhouse, but he gets to the rim for an and one. Here, you run some action with the two of them, and 2 defenders go with Duncan Robinson on the curl. Gabe Vincent steps back for an uncontested 3. They come down the next play. They run the exact same set. And this time the defender is trailing Duncan Robinson on the curl. He gets all the way to the rim to finish. So you have 2 guys, role players. And in case of Gabe Vincent, he's certainly not playing like a role player. No. He's been a star a lot of nights for the Heat, and he's been great so far in both games. But it wasn't Jimmy Butler. It wasn't Bam Adebayo. It wasn't Caleb Martin, who was great in the last series. No doubt. It was Gabe Vincent and Duncan Robinson that took an 8-point deficit and gave them a lead in a very short period of time. And most of those were related to defensive breakdowns.
Duncan Robinson started his career in Division III. That'll be the story headed to Game 3 Wednesday. That's the story from here. Doris Burkle entered Heat right back in this series. Of course, they'll tell you they never really went anywhere. Fourth quarter of Game 2 was huge for Miami. Down 8 after 3. Now they've cut it to 5. Duncan Robinson had 10 points. All of them came in the fourth. Gabe Vincent, who we'll hear from in a second, had 23. He actually led Miami in scoring. Wow, look at that stare. And then Robinson, 4 of 5 from the field in the fourth. Not bad for a guy that fell out of the rotation a couple months ago, but he's been big in some big spots. He and Vincent go on a personal 12-0 run. And then Jimmy Butler said in the postgame, there is no secret sauce. All right? There is no secret sauce. We just keep scrapping. Bam, the screen. Kyle Lowry. Oh, Taylor counts in the foul. They're up double digits. And then Butler, Caleb Martin, who obviously could have been the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. Instead, they gave it to Butler. Both have been dynamic. Under 20 seconds to go. Heat up 3. This is essentially what everybody's going to be talking about. That could have iced it for Miami. No, Denver's got a timeout. Back the other way. They elect not to call it. Murray had the hot hand. Jokic had 41. But instead, they got to get to the hoop. We got 3 seconds to go. Nowhere to go. Murray off the mark. An unlikely leading scorer for Miami. And the series is tied.
Duncan came in was a huge spark for us. You know, he's ignitable. You know, we got a number of guys that are like that, but he does it in a special way. And, you know, when he starts cutting to the rim and finishing at the basket, it helps a lot too. Everyone that's got a jersey on is willing to give in to whatever we need to try to help us get a win. I think that helps a lot, whether it's Kevin and Caleb or Max or Duncan or myself or Kyle. You know, you go down the roster and guys are willing to just give in, and I think that's huge.
I know the level of confidence that we have in him, that he has in himself, to go out there and run the offense at any point in time, first through fourth quarter, maybe even overtime. And we live with the decisions and the shots that he makes and takes. And he's our starting PG for a reason.
Doris Burke joins us now. Look, we've been watching the Heat all postseason. I don't think any one of us thought they were just going to go quietly into the night. But from what you saw from Miami in this game, too, how did they change the tempo of the game?
You know what, Nicole? Miami at its best offensively is a team of movement. Both sides of the ball, constant split action, cutting. They'll front cut you, they'll back cut you. And I thought the inability of Denver to deal with all of that movement and guard the three-point line made all the difference. Shots were coming from everywhere, whether it was Max Strus early in the basketball game, Gabe Vincent throughout the course of the game, and Gabe is a 3-level scorer. And then in the fourth quarter, Duncan Robinson. But their inability Denver to guard the three-point line was the difference. They outscored them, I believe, by 18 from the three-point line?
It was a big gap. Miami shot 48.6% from three, and you take a look at what Denver was able to do. They only made 11 threes for about 40% from the line. When you look at the box score, I mean, obviously Jimmy Butler is going to get attention as he has for this team all year. He had 21 points, but Bam had 21. Gabe Vincent had 23. Strus, you mentioned how good he was from three early on. He had 14 points. Yeah. Who else to you defined this game for the Heat?
How about Duncan Robinson, who coming into this ball game when he played in this series was a -7. And in the fourth quarter, he has a couple of monster threes, front cuts for a layup, beats Jamal Murray on the baseline. Listen, Duncan Robinson has been an up and down year, loses his spot in the lineup, breaks his wrist when he finally comes back. But boy, opportunistically in these playoffs, Duncan Robinson with a big time delivery tonight.
Can we just work on his mean mug? Because I'm not sure that is enough for me. Like, he is about as intimidating as my daughter's teddy bear. It's just not enough. All right, Doris, we'll see you after game 3. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Nicole.
You can always work something on your game. You can always work something on your game. All right, so from the NBA to the WNBA, South Carolina Gamecock legends A'ja Wilson, Aaliyah Boston, both national champs, both players of the year, both #1 overall picks in the W draft. And there's no one more excited about Sunday's matchup between those two stalwarts than their former head coach, Dawn Staley. Look at her tweeting, getting fired up. I mean, she's had some great players at South Carolina, but these two certainly feel like they're at the top of the list if those accolades I just mentioned mean anything. So she's going to sit back and enjoy this one. The Aces and the Fever. So A'ja Wilson, Aaliyah Boston facing off for the first time. Both, of course, have hung banners about 5 years apart. Former South Carolina bigs battling down low. Wilson blocks Boston, but Boston going to kind of stick with it. You saw her in college. You know she ain't never given up. This isn't the first time Wilson has blocked a fellow former Gamecock. May 27th, Wilson welcomed the rookie Zia Cook. See ya. That block sent Cook to the floor. It continued on Friday when Wilson was credited with the rejection on her best friend, Alicia Gray. A little friendly fire there. Hey, you're on the other side. I got to do it. And then on Sunday, Wilson gets Boston early when it was 4-2. We just showed it to you. But her job is not done. Wilson's already checked 3 Gamecocks off her block list. 4 others remain. Don't say you haven't been warned, Harris Mitchell, Saxton, and Letitia. We'll see what happens. In the fourth, Aces down 2. That's big because the Aces are the best team in the league. Wilson shoulders past Boston. We're tied at 74. She had 27, 10, and 4 blocks like she was back in Columbia.